bringing the ODM people to government seemingly brought a lot of hope. There are people who say it's a lull before the storm. But I think the ODM people in government right now, if you look at the way they're speaking, they tend to have taken a different trajectory altogether. They seem to be admitting there's a problem, and they seem to know there's a solution. However, they're asking for more time, which you couldn't give President Ruto.
Now, Ken, I'll be very clear to you. As you know, a lot of my debate has been about public finance management. I was on Citizen a few weeks ago, where John Bundy is also a friend of mine.
The current CS?
The current CS is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I said, I hope he does not make the mistake of his predecessors. I hope he is very careful with whatever he signs that his officers in Treasury give him. I hope he does not break the law. And I said the indication will be the Gazette notice that comes out every single month on the estimates of revenue and expenditure. All right? He was about to sign his first one, and he did. All right?
He was about, and he did.
And he did. And I said, be very careful what you sign. And he signed that Gazette notice. Mm-hmm. And I put the question to him today. You signed, John Bundy, that you are going to borrow 978 billion domestic borrowing. 978 billion. That is 1 trillion shillings domestically. You signed that you're going to borrow 593 billion external loans and grants. You have signed borrowings to the tune of 1.6 trillion shillings this financial year. When your president is busy telling Kenyans a lie that there's no more borrowings, he's going to collect money from tax. I ask John Bundy the following question. Where are these borrowings in the budget?
Which budget?
The budget that was passed. Whether you want to call it the appropriations bill, that is the budget. Where are these borrowings? Approved by Parliament. Parliament approved borrowings, external loans and grants of 276 billion only. There's no domestic borrowing it has approved. Parliament approved development projects, even in this supplementary so-called budget that they brought, of 476 billion shillings. All borrowings must go towards development. Where is this extra money going to? The law says you can only borrow for development. Which borrowing is this for? You have signed an illegal Gazette notice. You have now become the owner of odious debt. One day, John Bundy, you will ask yourself, when you are before a court of law, what the hell did I do?
Did he have a choice?
Yes.
What was the choice? He's the Treasury Cabinet Secretary.
As I said, I warned him before. Are you looking at the bottom line? Are you asking questions of your Treasury officials? Are you following the law? The law is clear. You cannot borrow what is not on the budget. Where are these borrowings on the budget? They don't exist. You have put your hand to a Ponzi scheme that is our chain and our slavery. This so-called broad-based government has officially become a fraud-based government. Do you understand, Ken? they are perpetuating a fraud on 54 million Kenyans. There's no change. It's the same thing.
By the way, these trillion shillings that's borrowed domestically, who's lending the government a trillion, Bob?
These banks. It's our money.
And the interest is
And they
above
yes.
16%.
You see, even before we go to interest at 16% to 18%, it's just a Ponzi scheme. None of these banks can tell you what their money funds, because it must fund Chapter 12. The law says you can only borrow for development. You can only borrow what is on the budget. These monies that don't exist in the budget. Remember, there's no revenue estimates that are tabulated anywhere. The revenue estimates tell you where government is going to get its income. And if there's a deficit, it is also anchored there. All right? Okay? They never want to show you that why. Because it must correspond with expenditure. And if they're borrowing, it must correspond with expenditure development. But because they're not borrowing for that purpose, they don't put it. That is why they're in trouble with the Court of Appeal. That's why they are going to be in trouble with the Supreme Court. Because there's been debt bonoko here.
So money is going
Fake
to
things here. And John Bundy has just signed. He's now taken ownership of this fraud. And I want him. You have to be very careful.
Jimmy, do ask a question and it becomes relevant now. When you have a situation in Nakuru County where goons who are being shepherded by the chief of police of that region are removing patients from hospital, the court summons him, he does not come. The court summons him again, he does not come. Then, small fry, that's Nakuru County. We come to the national level. Big boss Munyewe. How many times? Was it 5? Yeah.
Maybe he'll come today.
Yes, maybe he'll come today. We seem to have a culture where, and it began in the Uhuru era, where court orders, as far as certain individuals are concerned, exist to be disobeyed. Now, Supreme Court says, okay, guys, this can't happen. I mean, this is a question who was asking, what guarantee do we have? That it will not be disobeyed?
Who are the implementers? In those cases, the police are the ones implementing, and they decide they want to be an anarchy arm of the government. I am also a victim of that. Now, in this case, who pays tax? You and I.
We all do.
And we can refuse because it's not lawful. So they can't do anything to us. Right now, if you don't pay tax, the taxman can come and give you a notice. Even seize your money in your bank account. Correct? When it's not lawful, he can't.
He doesn't have the basis.
He doesn't have the basis. Power is within you.
Well, but
Those who are loaning will know. I am loaning unlawfully. It will never come back to me. So why loan?
Meaning
These are within.
If the government defaults, there's nothing the banks can do.
Nothing.
There is no law that will support.
No, forget about default. I'm even not going there. I'm saying if the government, for example, is stopped from doing domestic borrowing,
Yes.
this 1 trillion shillings, it can't survive. It cannot pay the Ponzi scheme it has created. What do you think will happen? It will default. Are you going to say that they are going to insist that banks give them that money?
yes.
On what basis?
Because
On no basis, Jimmy.
No, but if the law is not there, hold on, Eric. The law is not there. So how is it enforced?
Impunity.
No, how is it enforced?
Impunity.
It's my money in my account.
Impunity.
How do you force me? No, please.
There was no order that required police to camp at your gate. Were they there? Were they not?
But they were the ones implementing.
Exactly.
And they decided
Impunity.
to forget about it. No, hold on.
Impunity.
That's what I'm trying to explain, Eric. That just like taxation, that is the same thing. It's my money in my account. Why would I loan you and I'll never get it back because it's against the law? I'll hold it. Right? Why would I pay tax and you can never enforce the payment of that tax?
I will give you
because
examples.
you can never do anything to me.
Yeah.
It's within my preserve. you as government cannot do anything.
That's true.
Yes,
Very good.
that's
theory.
the point. Now,
Very-
when you are
very
talking
good-
about coming
very
to
good
my
theory.
house,
Hold on.
they were the ones implementing.
And government implements all the time.
No.
I want to give you examples. In taxation, who collects the tax? It's government, right?
Sharing.
Yes, it's government.
Yes.
Who pays the tax?
How do
It's
they
you and I.
collect it? But how do they collect it?
In various ways.
How?
One of them is, for example, housing levy. Okay? Omtata goes to court, housing levy is declared, this one is illegal. All right?
Find a way around it.
No, even before finding a way around it, housing levy is collected for months.
No,
Hold on. It had been collected for months.
they stopped.
Yes, but it had been collected.
No, but they stopped.
But it had been
The
collected.
eventuality, that's what I'm trying to
3
say.
billion.
No,
Hold on,
I'm
Jimmy.
glad you brought that as an example.
Jimmy, let me finish. 3 billion or thereabouts had been collected. Was it 3? Was it 30?
No, it was more than 3.
It was
Yeah.
about 20, the one
Right.
that was
It was more,
yeah. Had been collected. The next thing was, now refund or find ways. Has it been refunded or found ways? Hold on.
Yes.
The Court of Appeal says Finance Act 2023 is illegal. Okay? The following day is the 14th of the month. What does EPRA do?
It's thing.
It comes up with its thing. And what does its thing contain? 16% VAT on fuel. Up until the day that the Supreme Court said, halt the implementation of what the Court of Appeal had said, what happened at the pump? Prices were based on 16%. Impunity, Jimmy.
Eric.
You're asking on what basis? Basis is good theory.
No.
In practice,
Eric,
impunity
Eric,
will make
Eric,
it
Eric, you are
happen.
distorting facts. The facts.
Before you respond,
Yes.
to add on that, the reason why the banks will still give government money, they're the biggest trading partners to the government. That's why our
Whose money is it?
Our interests
Whose money
are
is
high.
it?
It doesn't matter, but the biggest trading partners of the government. So they will definitely look at where the bread is buttered.
Okay.
This is the government that gives
so
the most
I will,
business.
I will,
so they
I will,
do
I will
it.
be very clear here.
Yes.
First, Eric, before I come to you. Eric, housing levy was stopped,
Yes,
and the eventuality is the government had to stop it,
yes,
right?
yes.
But even before the government stopped it, you had advisories across the board from accountant firms, from employers federation, from unions. That money is not to be deducted,
yes.
and it stopped even before the government acted. So it stopped because that deduction is done by private people. Your employer deducts it. A union can complain. All right? The government is not the implementer.
Jimmy.
And even before they removed it, it was cut. So I'm trying to be practical.
Simple-
you asked us.
simple
let
fact.
me
You
finish.
said-
I allowed you to
you
finish.
said- you said I'm distorting, so correct the facts.
That's the fact I'm
Wait,
trying to
where's
correct.
the
That you
distortion?
are saying the practice and the theory are two different things. The practice was there. Even before the government withdrew it, the Employers Federation stopped them.
Okay.
Unions stopped them. Let me finish, Eric. Let me finish. I allowed you to finish.
Was there?
I allowed you to finish.
Was there an employee
No, hold on,
who was
hold on.
deducted housing levy?
No, hold on.
During all this time,
No, please. I have answered your question.
you haven't.
It was stopped. And it was withdrawn from payroll slips.
Was
All
there,
right?
Was
They
there
then had to
deduction?
come back with another thing called housing fund. Okay? And until then, it started again.
So let me-
let me,
correct-
Eric, I've allowed you to talk.
Let me correct you. There were deductions for the housing levy. Okay? There may have been private employers who did not remit, but there were deductions for the housing levy. Before the court came and put a halt onto it, there were deductions.
You're not listening to me.
Was the money returned?
No, you're
It
not
was
listening
that
to
was my
me.
point.
No, you're not listening to me. You are saying the government continued deducting and people continued deducting. When the court order came, that deduction was stopped
Yes.
by employers, right?
By everybody.
And by unions.
Yes.
That is the practice. The court stopped it. The government, right, had no avenue to collect it.
And they had
That's the
collected-
practice.
And they had collected
I can tell you,
26.8 billion.
yes, I can tell you that further to that, there was a court order that said, because it was attempted about withdrawal, about returning the money,
Yeah.
that the government is not duty-bound to return it.
Yes.
Okay? Again, the court. So the practice is clear that it was stopped and it was implemented. Ken has raised something about banks. Banks loan to get profit for their shareholders. If that loan is proved illegal, they are now in the realm of fraud, securities fraud. That is where they go. And the cost for them is phenomenal. It's not their money, it is our money in their accounts. It is not theirs. You will not take my money to a fraudulent activity. So please, that's what I'm saying, that here we have the strength. It is not government to implement. It is the law that we will obey. We will obey it, and we have the strength to implement it. It's within our purview. If the commissioner or the IG of police wants to disobey court orders, hiyo ni yake. Eventually, if he's going to take you to court, it will be struck off because he disobeyed orders. So the intention was never to take you to court. It was some other purpose, right? So at the end of the day, even his activities of anarchy come to an end. But here, we have the strength, the capacity to say we are not going to do it.
Jimmy, we do.
And we will do it because we will be backed by law.
Yes, we are. But what we are saying is our lived experience. This really is the point that
No. This is a different thing.
No. It is not a different thing, Jimmy. The point is, everything you say makes sense. Everything you say can even be supported by law. Everything you say can be supported by the Constitution. Then I pause, then I say, our lived experience. See, when you have people who are in political power and positions, and they are hell-bent on doing exactly what they want, not what the law says, that seems to be
so
our
tell
lived
me,
problem.
So tell me, CT,
Yes.
how do they make me pay tax that is not lawful?
For instance, what you say about the pump, I would like to see if the petrol stations will reduce that cost.
They have no choice. Because then they're anticipating, just like the employer on the housing levy, they are going to be anticipating a direct hit to them, not to KRA. Because you hold them accountable, not KRA.
I understand.
So the base is here. Please go slow. This is not the normal thing. And I'm glad Eric brought up the housing levy. The court stopped it. It is the Employers Federation, it is unions that said you cannot deduct anymore. And that deduction was removed. Long before the government pronounced itself, it kept saying, oh, we are changing. The court said we are changing, we adjust this thing. It pronounced itself. It's the same thing here. Because who are the implementers? It's not the government. Once something is not lawful, it's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
That's the thing you're not...
I haven't understood. That's what I'm waiting to see. Because we are talking about businesses that want profit.
But if I don't have... Listen, if I'm not duty-bound to pay a tax, why would I pay it? Who is going to enforce that paying of tax?
From the company perspective before it gets to the end user.
Who wants to pay tax? Now you're being told, I mean, I don't know what you guys are saying. And you're being told now you don't have to pay. And then you say...
No, I'm still paying.
I'm still paying. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Come on.
So you're looking at it from the company base, not the retail. Okay.
Who is going to pay?
Okay.
You're going to say this thing is not lawful. Why are you deducting it?
Why am I adding
it? It's not lawful.
Jimmy, you've changed the argument.
No, but that's what happens. That's what happens. That's what happens. Why do you take on a cost
the
to your
practical
income?
side of it.
And the law is saying that you don't have to.
It's sound because the companies will say no.
Yeah.
The practical side of it is that, yes, you're going to, say no, you're going to hold back, you're going to push back to it, but I'll bring you back. 26 billion shillings was collected.
No, the
law.
26.8
billion shillings was collected.
Yes. No.
In the time that 26 billion.
No, my friend. The law.
So let me finish.
Eventually, it stops.
So let me finish. The 26 that was collected, where is it now?
They wanted to do it.
It's in abeyance.
Yeah.
It's in abeyance.
Because that 26 billion was collected on an illegal law, so that one is out. and was before the Housing Levy Fund Act, the regulations.
So they've eaten it.
Housing, yeah.
So where is the 26
So you're
billion?
saying it has been eaten?
That's the point I'm trying to tell you, Jimmy. That you can come up with all these theories and law, but 26 imeenda.
No, Eric,
Wake up.
You must appreciate how far we have come.
Very
Do
far,
not be
26 billion
dismissive.
shillings.
No, hold on. Do not be dismissive on a blatant thing like that. I can tell you that. The eventuality of our capacity to abide by the law as citizens has come out. You yourself said we stopped paying the housing levy long before the government pronounced itself. It is within our control. That's what you're not understanding. Taxation payment is within our control. If it does not exist, why will you pay it? You will refuse. In this company alone, you will all start saying, why are you deducting me? It's unlawful. You will not sue KRA, you will sue the company. It doesn't exist. If you are giving a loan, why would I give and it's unlawful? No bank will do it. They are risking their own reputations and their own demise, because we who have deposited in those banks will ask them what the hell they were doing. So please, do not compare the malfeasance of 26 billion that they've so-called taken before people understood what the law is. As no growth. We have grown, and it is within our power. And I'm trying to tell you that this government, even in this budget that Bandi is so-called trying to implement, is an unlawful budget. It's an unconstitutional budget.
Yet the banks
And
are
it will
lending
come, no.
Yes.
But they, you see,
Top of the hour,
they are
Jimmy.
being educated. They are being educated.
They have lawyers. If these banks don't have lawyers,
No, we are, let me tell you,
let's end it there.
they are slowly being educated. And if they are refusing to listen, then you know they are participants to the fraud. And it will eventually catch up with them.
On that, I agree.
It will, eventually.
That I agree.
They eventually beat.
They
catch up
eventually
with
bit. That I agree.
Yes.
But for now, they're still lending to the government,
Yeah.
knowing it's not in the budget.
I'm glad you're saying that.
But
I'm glad you're saying that because you're telling them.
Thank you very much,
I'm
Jimmy,
so
for
glad.
joining us. And Ken, good to have you here again.
Asante sana.
Keep it here for more entertainment. Coming up, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. This is a Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Our guest has been Jimi Wanjigi A.
Asanteni sana.
Bongo, Africa's largest classroom, now brings you Newsor